deputy directors, colleagues from the counties, the people who actually lift the title of being the advocates for children in the counties, colleagues from various institutions, our donor partners. You have always supported us. We must recognize you. A special thanks to the young lady who is at the Kenya School of Law, who is part of this this meeting. I think you are learning early. You will be a very, very good student. You'll be now our champion there at the Kenya School of Law. I recognize that very quickly, and I think at least you're not going back having, leaving this room having not learned a lot. So thank you very much. For me, this is on behalf of the DPP and the management team, that is the high-level team. We want to say thank you very much. I think my duty is very, very simple. First, I must recognize that this guide was for the most vulnerable group of witnesses, victims, even some children in conflict with the law. We must admit that when we are dealing with this particular vulnerable group, we have to be very, very careful. But again, remember that the people who are handling the children, be it the prosecutor, the investigator, the children's services, the Witness Protection Agency, and the first responders who handle children. I know that in our own space we feel that we know how to handle children. I always imagine that I am better at handling children because I've been in the practice as a prosecutor. But again, in your own space, you will realize that you might not be doing it perfectly. So this guide is it's a tool to give all of us a space where we are able to interview children, handle children, appreciate children in their vulnerable space where they are. And remember, we are all children. And when you sit back, even when you are young, you remember sometimes you lied about something. And it's not because you didn't want to tell the truth. It's because I think those days we used to fear our parents. Even if they beat you, you would know that lie to be able to deal with the situation. Even when you have taken some sugar and it's all over in your mouth, you would just lie saying I've not taken any sugar, and evidence speaks for itself. I think then our parents, maybe they might not have been as lucky as we are on how to interview children. So for me, this tool places us as prosecutors and other persons who are handling children to be in a space where you are able to, all of us know how to handle children in our own way. But remembering that prosecutors, investigators, the way I handle a child is not the same way Linda will handle a child. So this tool gives us a plain level field where we are all able to understand how to handle children. Whether it's a very young child, one of let's say 1 year, 2 years, and a child who is slightly older. And remember that children also have differences in the way they have been brought up, the environment. Have they acclimatized to the situation? How do you get that evidence from the child? Protecting that evidence, because you need that evidence mostly to get justice for that child. So we must have a tool which is going to help us all as we handle the children, and as we interview them, we should be in a position to understand, have the same skill set to be able to manage children. Why do we need to have this guide? We must enhance the quality and reliability of evidence and also protect them. You might have the evidence, but how are you getting it out of that child? How are you going to make that evidence retains its credibility? If the child will not be able to be prepared, just even before you take them to court, you need to let them trust you. And this trust comes from some sort of training. And all of us need that training. I learned so much when I was working on when we were looking at this guide and, making it become the document it is today. We learn something every day, and no one is perfect. Of course, we know that children either appear as witnesses, victims, and children in conflict with the law. When children are in conflict with the law, remember these are children, yes, they have committed an offense, but you also don't want to look at them as children who you can be able to treat like adults. You need to be very, very careful. So even when you are cross-examining a child of that, maybe who is in conflict with the law, you need to know how to ask those questions without making the child feel like they are so bad that they are not able to do the right thing. Let them know that they have made a mistake, but let them feel that they are important and they are going to change. So for me, I think it's good to recognize that as much as a child may have been in conflict with the law, let us also be very kind and friendly how we interview them, or even how we cross-examine them in court. Definitely, we looked at various pieces of legislation, various policies. We, of course, have the Constitution of Kenya, the Children's Act, the UN Convention, the UN Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, and other best practices. This is what we set out to look at. And as we're preparing this guide, to ensure that we don't fall outside the ambit of these very critical pieces of policy and legislation. This guide is not only for in-court session, it is also to prepare a child. Let the child know when you're going to court, this is what you expect. Of course, the DPP's office is already ahead of time. Let me be very sincere. We have the child-friendly rooms. We want a situation where you can let a child understand what a courtroom looks like. So by the time they go and meet the advocate, who of course will want to protect their client, you prepare them that there will be an advocate will ask you questions. Don't worry, I will protect you. If the advocate asks a question in such a way to demean you, I'm there. That's why I'm sitting with you here. I am your advocate. So you must prepare the child on what questions at least to expect. So basically this guide will help you plan and prepare on how you're going to deal with the child before they get to court and when they get to court. Of course, when we're doing the interviews, we want to identify what language the child understands best. Some children may not even be very good in speaking, but they might want to, of course, we are lucky now that we can have a child testify through an expert who can be able to understand. But the child needs to express what they went through or what they want to say. So what you need to do as a prosecutor or a child expert, or when you are dealing with them, especially when they're under protection, you may need to go further, understand their language, their disabilities, and their mental health concerns. Some of the children really go, after they have gone through very serious trauma, they have problems in even expressing themselves, and they sometimes get mentally affected. So these are things you should be able to pick some red flags, how to deal with them. So when you're dealing with during the assessment period, when you're assessing the child, you don't talk about the offense itself. You just want to understand where is this child mentally, emotionally. At that point, you just want to assess them and see how they'll be able to give you any evidence. When we're talking about environment, you also want to look at the child. Is the child tired? Is the child comfortable with you? You know, sometimes you might find you think you are the one who knows how to interview the child. Get somebody else who is better at interviewing the child. Don't assume. You find who knows how to deal with the child better than I could. Don't be shy, even if you are a senior. Just accept. appreciate the fact that the child is not comfortable with you. Get the right person to interview. Don't insist and force yourself on the child. So this is when you are looking at the environment and logistics. Yeah. During the interview process, now this is where you will need to be very, very careful. Try as much as possible to get the best out of the child. Don't interfere with the child when they are giving their story. Let the child speak. Let the child give their story. Don't intervene by asking those very difficult questions. When, why, how? A child will kind of get into a cocoon when you ask those questions. So you give them some sort of open-ended questions to allow them to say their story. It is their story. You might need to just let them finish, and then you pick. And when they're speaking, be careful. Don't be writing things. I think for me that is the best. Listen to them so that they trust you. So for me, I think that is critical. And this is what the guide is talking about. I hope you'll get an opportunity to look at it critically as the county heads, regional heads, and the prosecutors on the ground. You'll be able to appreciate that you will learn something from the guide itself. When you have done the interview, you have received the information you need, the child has told you what they have to say. It's very, very important. Remember, as a prosecutor, thank that child. Can you imagine what maybe the child has gone through a lot of trauma and they have told you so much? Thank them. Take time to thank them. If you can be able to give them a gift, a good gift, which they can appreciate and remember that they were gifted because of handling the situation or their evidence properly. So for me, I think it's critical that you look at when the child is giving their information, look very interested. Don't get distracted by anything. And if you notice that the child is getting tired or distracted or getting bored, step back, give the child a minute to rest, let them play with toys or something which makes them very interested. Another thing which was critical when this guide was being developed, it was the use of technology. And we are actually using it. I think the child-friendly rooms, for those counties that have the children-friendly rooms, you'll note that we want to take this evidence once, at most twice, so that the child doesn't keep on reliving and talking about the whole episode if they really went through a lot of trauma. So technology is something we have dealt with critically in the guide. And also, the use of video recording is something which has also been taken note of. But when you're also doing the video recording of the children, tell them you're doing it so that they don't think you're doing it let them understand why you're doing the video recording. Let them not think that you're taking away something which is theirs. So this is another thing which has also been taken note of. And allow for the children to draw and use any other user-friendly tool to let them talk about the issue that they have gone through. Again, in Chapter 5, we are going to this monitoring and evaluation. As prosecutors and persons who handle children, we need to monitor and evaluate and see, has it worked for us? What mistakes did we make? How can we be able to improve? That is what is in Chapter 5. So we consistently correct ourselves and we humble ourselves when we are dealing with children. This guide is going to be a perfect, uniform way of dealing with children. Thank you very much, and I humbly request that you all take your time. Appreciate the guide. It's for all of us. Asante sana. Thank you.